Words are about to be spoken on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, brought to you by the Ad Free Show's podcast, Heat and Wrestling, according to Alma Networks. I'm John Alba. That's the broken one. That's the spoken one. That's the spoken one himself, Mr. Matt Hardy. My friend, coming to us live via satellite. Dallas. As we tape this ahead of the TNA AMC debut. However, once you listen to this or view this, it will be after the TNA AMC debut. So next week, we will be talking about the TNA AMC debut and the new AMC era after previewing it last week. What's going on, man? How was your travel? How's everything cooking over there?
Travel was okay. I had a funny incident that happened at the very end of travel, which everyone will be filled in when the time is appropriate, as we do in this podcast, as we do tradition here. But it went okay overall, and excited to be here in Dallas. Just went and did a meet, greet, and delete with a few hundred really excited people, and burned through it. The hardest that never get a day off. We work, we grind, we work. We signed today, and we had the longest line. Like everybody else was out an hour and a half before us. And we'll sign tomorrow after the show, and I'm sure it's going to be packed. And then we'll sign Saturday after Genesis.
We got to get you some beef ribs while you're out there this time.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I would like to get some good barbecue while I was out here. I had a little bit, but I would like to have some good barbecued beef ribs. That would be good. We're just all
the big fat dino rib. There's nothing like it. It is the best of the best. Right. It is, for my money.
Yep.
Even better than barbecue brisket, like the beef rib. Salad. Terry Black's. Jealous you're down there. Jealous. Well, my friend, it's good to see you. Last week we did talk a little bit about the future of the TNA AMC partnership and what to expect there. Is there anything that you want to put a bow tie on that front?
No, I mean, it was a very enjoyable conversation. I like that. It's cool. This AMC stuff, we'll be obviously on AMC. We're going to be live first couple of weeks, no doubt. And we're also going to be streaming on AMC Plus too, which is cool, as well as TNA Plus is still going to stay around. So there'll be a lot of cool outlets you can watch TNA from.
Yes. And of course, not going to get into spoiler territory because the show has not happened as we tape this yet. But again, we will talk about that. We'll talk about Genesis next week. But you guys excited to work with the Righteous on this big stage here?
Yeah. It should be very cool, especially, we've been doing a very slow build and people are wondering like, what are their true motives? And, I think we'll get to the bottom of this before it's all said and done. And we'll talk about it next week.
Yes, we certainly will. They're unique cats. I think it's going to be a interesting dynamic that you guys bring to a match together. So I like them. I've always liked them. Kind of a shame. It really felt like they were going to come in and be part of the Wyatt Six with Bray when he was there, and it felt like they were going to do something special. It feels like they would have been perfect fits for that, doesn't it?
They would have. They would have loved to have done that too. They had a great relationship with Bray. Wyndham reached out to those guys and talked to them, and they stayed in touch, and he wanted to work with them and do something with them. So they praised Wyndham greatly because Wyndham was really, really good to him, and he liked them a lot.
Yeah, they would have fit with him like a glove. So bummer that didn't happen, but I'm excited to see what you guys are going to do with them. One of your other friends, big week for him. Drew McIntyre finally got his flowers.
Yeah. Look at that.
His moment. 3 stages of hell. He beats Cody Rhodes with the help of Jacob Fatu, who maybe inadvertently helped him. Who's to say? But Drew finally, after years and years, gets his real championship moment in front of the fans. What do you think of your boy, Drew McIntyre, walking away as the undisputed WWE champion?
Very happy for him that happened. It's funny. I think I said that in my bold predictions of 25 that I had that Cena was going to beat Drew, right? And then he drops it back. So Drew definitely was deserving of a world championship. He was deserving to be in that top spot. And I think this is also very good for Cody. Cody's in that point right now where he's almost more valuable chasing for the title in some way. So I think it's good. And I think Drew is someone who's busted his ass. He's been mega entertaining. He is someone worthy of that position. So I'm glad he's got it. And he's getting a legitimate run.
there were so many times that Drew McIntyre could have given up throughout the course of his career. Even after he did win the world title in front of no fans and he
Right.
didn't get the moment that he thought he was going to get. Then the next year, you think he's going to get it again, and he loses at WrestleMania in front of the fans for the first time back since the start of the pandemic. Then he comes back afterwards and he wins the world title and has it cashed in on him just moments later. There were so many reasons for him that he could have given up, and he didn't. So what does that say about who he is as a performer?
I mean, that's what wrestling is. It's not always your time. Sometimes you get put in angles and scenarios, situations that aren't necessarily fair to you, but you just have to keep on marching forward. You have to keep your chin up and keep on marching forward like a soldier. And Drew's done that, man. And I'm sure he's made some good money, and he's really established himself as one of the top wrestling stars in the industry right now.
Now, interestingly enough, the rumors have been for a couple months now that we could be getting Roman versus Cody 3, but now I believe Dave Meltzer was the first one to report it, that the Cody Roman match may be off for WrestleMania. Could be a triple threat with Drew, Jacob Fatu, and Cody, or it could be something else. Any thoughts on any of that? Because that does feel like it shakes up Roman versus Cody 3, which I don't know about you, but I wasn't really feeling this time around. Eventually, yes, but I don't know about this time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, as a WrestleMania main event, I would prefer personally to have something fresh, a new big matchup. And I think popping Drew McIntyre into that spot as the champion really freshens everything up, freshens the scene up, and it really makes people curious of who is going to be his challenger. Is he going to keep the title through then? Is Cody going to get his rematch? There's a lot of possibilities, and it freshens up everything. And I think it's good to do that every so often.
Yeah, and Jacob Fatu maybe being elevated too at the same time. I mean, that's a big deal. He's certainly deserving of being in a main event slot in the not so distant future. So I'd like to see him there. Not that I don't want to see Cody Roman 3, because look, the rubber match between them is a very important match at some point. But I just don't know if this was the year for it. It almost feels a little too soon. Is that fair?
I don't. I mean, we've had two of these main events of Cody versus Roman. I'm okay not having another one. I mean, they could have a rubber match at some other point, and it could be advertised and as a very important match, just like a marquee match on whatever kind of show. But I think as the main event of WrestleMania, it's time to do something fresh and new.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I'm good with
it. Maybe it needs to feel special and unique and bigger than everything else. I feel.
Yeah, I'm good with doing something fresh as well. Yeah, I just wanted to ping you on that because it's a pretty big thing that happened with someone who I know you're a very, very big fan of. And
yeah, man. I mean, I was his first program when he came in as the chosen one. And I know they specifically wanted me to work with him because they thought I would be very fair with him and not take liberties and try and teach him and work hard for him. And I'm very proud of all the growth he's had. Especially, I'm very proud of the way he has learned how to speak normal English, as opposed to when he first came in, it sounded like he was saying another language, a Scottish accent. So thick.
We got a bunch of people watching live on YouTube via WrestlingCoinAlba.com. Coach Rosie, of course.
There's the great Coach Rosie.
The ultimate diehardie Coach Rosie watching live right now. And we reached out to the diehardies this week to ask for their Ask Matts, and we have a ton of questions for the Broken Brilliance himself that you're going to get to. Wow, Rosie's saying he is live at Dynamite in Phoenix as we record this, and he still popped into the recording.
I love it. That's my man. That's a diehardie for sure. That's a diehardie.
We're counter programming right now.
Yeah, we are. Take that, sickos. We're counter programming right now.
Certainly so. Well, before we can answer the questions from the Matt Hardy sickos, I got to ask, please hit us with that Matt fact.
Matt fact. Matt always verifies it's his luggage at the airport.
Ooh, that's important. That's very, very important.
It is important. And I've always done that when I go to baggage claim and get my bags. Today, there was an incident whenever we flew. We had a direct flight, Raleigh to Durham. It was very easy. Everything was all good. And myself and Jeff, we were in the bulkhead. We were in 1A and 1B. And whenever we were getting on, some people had already put bags up because there were some military people on this flight. So they'd already put those bags up because they put them on earlier. And we were carrying a fallen soldier, their casket and the body, back to Dallas to where his home was. And they had announced that at one point. They said, whenever we land in Dallas, can everyone please keep their seat? We're going to let the gentleman's, the fallen soldier's family go off first, so they can do what they need to do. And we were sitting there, but our bags were back in on 4 D and F. And Jeff got up and he was sitting by the aisle. He got up, he went back and got his. And then I got up and went to go get mine. And just my little bag was there, but my computer bag was not there. But there was this solid ass black computer bag that looked nothing like mine. And I said, guys, did you guys move a computer bag from here? And they said, no, we didn't. And then the other bag we got, and fortunately it had the gentleman's name on it. And then I was scrambling because it was that it had this computer on it, it had my charging, it has all my supplements, it has my electronics and whatnot. So I do that, and the ladies there said, just go up to the gate and talk to the gate agent. And then I go up there and I talk to the gate agent and said, okay, well, this has the person's name on it, but I don't see any information, blah, 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 blah. And then they did an announcement. And they said, let me check. And they're on the computer. Said, oh, well, they're departing to go to Phoenix. They're connecting, so they're not staying here in Dallas. And they had my bag, and obviously their bag they'd forgotten. And the page worked, or someone called this guy, or the guy called himself, and he brought it back. And bless his heart, it was an 82-year-old Vietnam vet, I think. And it was and he said, I'm so sorry. I said, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Just everything ended well. So we're all good. I just, got freaked out for a moment. But once again, anytime I'm grabbing my bag, whether it is from the overhead or whether it is from the baggage claim, I always verify it is my bag, because as the signs say, many bags look alike.
I'd be freaking the fuck out. So I'm glad that didn't happen with me, because way too much of my livelihood is based on this computer. So I'm glad to hear that you were able to make that work. And you would have had
when I first realized my bag was gone and someone had taken it, and I was like, what the fuck? It was super stressful. But I was like, all right, let's just come on. Hopefully we can catch them. We caught it early and things worked out.
You would have had to slap more than a tornado if that ended up going down. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I don't know what I'd been doing. I would have been on Ross's computer doing this right now.
That would have been interesting. All right, you ready to answer some questions from the diehardies?
Let's do it. Let's shoot.
All right.
Shoot them at me, diehardies.
All right. Well, we appreciate. We got so many questions this week via the Matt Hardy brand pages and Matt Hardy pod pages. So thank you to all of those who submitted. And don't forget to follow those pages as well, so you can stay up to date with everything Matt Hardy, Hardy Boyz, and the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. Let's go to an OG diehardy here, a wrestling historian who's been following this podcast since day one. Always has good questions. Mm-hmm. Says, when you were the TNA champion, did you consider making a custom belt like how Jeff did?
There was a point when I did Big Money Matt, whenever I did the double turn with EC3 and won the title in the last man standing match. There was a point I thought if I had a long enough reign, I might turn it into an iconic championship almost. I had a very funny title in Ring of Honor that I did whenever I was with Adam Cole, which was Jay Briscoe's title, and it had my face on it real big, and it was real obnoxious. There was a thought process of doing that, but then once I understood what they were wanting to do, and I was going to they ended up wanting to run with Drew at this time, speak of the devil, because Drew McIntyre was the guy. He ended up cashing in on me, and I had just escaped a match with Jeff and EC3 maybe. I'm not sure, but Drew ended up cashing in, and he won the title. And then I was up. That's when I was going to do the change into Broken Matt Hardy. So I was very excited for that. But that did go through my mind at one time. And there are thoughts right now. Jeff and I have an idea about maybe creating a very special GOATS tag team championship too. So that might be something that ends up happening before it's all said and done.
Okay. I can appreciate some goat belts. That would definitely be unique. I think that would have been pretty cool if you ended up coming up with your own custom Matt Hardy tie. It's actually kind of surprising that you didn't, honestly. I feel like that's something that would have been in your creative tome at some point, but perhaps there are still more to come. Who's to say?
Yeah. You got to let it
Because
play out, John. You got to let it play out.
you got to let it play out, right? Brooke asking, if you had to retire 5 years ago, what do you think you'd be doing right now?
If I retired 5 years ago, I would be I'd be working with Shane Helms as one of WWE's producers.
You think you'd be on the road full time like that?
I'm pretty positive that's what I'd be doing. Yeah, I would have probably tried to maybe negotiate a certain amount of dates or something in the beginning, but I would probably be staying pretty busy doing that.
Okay, that's fair. Alicia, if you could have a conversation with your younger self, what would you say and why?
I would say stop doing the damn leg drop off the top rope every single night. That's the first thing I would say. As far as the wrestling, as far as it goes, just as a human being in general, I think my older self would tell my younger self that things are going to be okay, because Jeff and I, we lived through scary times whenever our mom passed away, and our father, our mother was like our emotional bond, and our dad was just a protector, provider. That things are going to be okay, and I think I could shape a younger me to being more normalized earlier on than having like this trauma. Maybe he didn't understand how to process or whatever else. From a wrestling aspect, I would definitely teach me how to be smarter, how to stay out of these pitfalls. But first and foremost, I would say, like, just do big shit when it really matters. Like, especially on these house shows, when I was doing 10 days on and 4 days off, Jeff and I, every single night, leg drop splash, leg drop splash, leg drop splash, where we're winning. Like, it's your body, man. You have to learn how to be smart about it and preserve it and get as much longevity out of it that you can.
Speaking of, past things that you've been able to accomplish and overcome and things that are very inherent to you, Cranky Magic said you and Jeff had very public alcohol and drug use challenges. How have you both dealt with it in your own ways, and how have you kept yourselves healthy and grounded?
I feel like when we're normal, I feel like we're both pretty healthy and grounded just because of how we were raised, and we kind of grew up a very tough life, very disciplined from our dad. I think we both do it in different ways. Jeff is just Jeff very much has a process with what he's doing. He's still kind of figuring out, what works for him, but he's just very dedicated to what he's doing. He gets up in those ambrosial hours, and those are important. He meditates, he manifests. Like I said, he's the one that got me started on cold plunges. He's just very much got a procedure. He gets in bed early. Even when he's at home, like, I know I can't even call him after 9 o'clock because he'll definitely be in bed. He's usually in bed 8:30, 9 o'clock, up at 4:30. And me, on the other hand, I just feel like probably my biggest driving factor in just like keeping everything together and staying on the straight and narrow is just my children more than anything else. I need to be there for them. I need to set an example for them. And I just enjoy my time with them so much. I relish, I just cherish my moments being at home and hanging out with my kids and being a father. That's probably what keeps me more grounded than anything else.
Great advice. Let's talk a little bit more about Brother Nero. First off, how's his neck doing? Because he finally spoke out recently in an interview about what he's been dealing with the past couple of months since the NXT match you guys had with Dark State. How's his neck holding up?
He's feeling better. It's a very slow process, and we're actually going to talk with some of the doctors, and there's a special person coming in about it. Can he manipulate it? Maybe what is the best thing they can do to try and ease the pain? And can you adjust and manipulate these discs to go back in? Because they're not protruding too bad, and they have gotten better, and he's been doing the things that he can do. And there's been some guys that have gotten procedures where they've shaved off part of those discs, and then they continue to go, and they're okay. So, I mean, he has options and possibilities of different things he can do, but first and foremost, he would rather just do it as natural and as organic as possible, and that's what he's working on, and we're just trying to keep him working smart. And in some ways, I think Jeff, even having this and being a little freaked out by it, is going to turn him into a smarter worker, which isn't a bad thing at his age.
Yeah, I mean, it's anything with the neck is scary, man.
Yeah.
Especially as you get older. It's just because then you got to start like, does the reward outweigh the risk? And
Sure.
it's a tough conversation to have with yourself, I'd have to imagine. So I know when we did our Hardy party in New York, he was pretty beat up. So I'm glad to hear he's getting a little better, but that's tough nonetheless. But Rebecca asking, this is kind of funny. How do you tell when Jeff is angry? Jeff doesn't really show anger a whole lot, so I'd love to know this.
No, he doesn't. I feel like you can tell something Jeff doesn't like it, or it is mildly upsetting. I feel like that's a Matt fact. Mildly upsetting, using that to describe if he's mildly upset, he gets very quiet, and he's not like joking or laughing. He doesn't have that easy-go-lucky expression. He just gets very quiet, and you can tell it's kind of there's something that has transpired or been said or something he has to do that he doesn't enjoy and he's not fond of.
I just think it's so funny that you can't even commit to saying, yeah, when he's angry, he does this, because he just doesn't get that way.
No, I mean, he doesn't. He doesn't. We were just telling the story before. The most angry I've ever seen him, and I think I've said this here before, is like we were at a Harley Davidson rally and we're doing an indie show. It was right after we'd first signed, and we're wrestling these two guys that are like 370 pounds. They're big, like biker guys. And we come out, we have our tights on, we've signed a developmental deal this time. And the guy said, hey, I know you do a bunch of dives there, Jeff Hardy. He said, how about you dive out on us right there? And Jeff said, I don't know. Like the ground is like this packed clay and it was super hard. Jeff said, we just signed deals with WWE, so I probably shouldn't take these chances, because we're probably going to be caught up anytime now and be on the road full time. And he said, oh, look at me. You don't trust me? Look how big we are. Of course we can spot you. And Jeff ran. And Jeff said, okay, if you guys got me, then that's cool. We'll do it. And Jeff ran and dove out, and the guys split like the Red Sea, and Jeff smacked on the ground. And I'll never forget the bigger one of the guys who was like talking the shit, saying, oh, how do you think we're not going to catch you? Of course we're going to catch you, brother. We're pros. Jeff went over and booted that guy in the ribs and like it lifted him off the ground. It seemed like 6 inches. Like I could see air underneath him. Wham! Bah! And you could see him. He was all cursing and yelling to himself, and he gets in the ring, and that guy's getting in the ring, and Jeff's like squared off. This guy's acting like he's going to fight, and Jeff's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And that guy's like, oh, you want to fight, boy? You want to fight, boy? You want to make it real? And Jeff comes over by me.
Tags you in. Yep.
Tags me, and I come in, and I remember starting around going like, are you a professional, dude? Are you a professional? Are you a professional? And he came and tried to take a swing, and it ended up I got behind him and nailed him a couple times from behind. I was holding him, and Jeff came in and booted him in the head. The other guy just didn't even come in and like dropped him, and we just like left the ring. That was the most angry I could ever remember seeing Jeff.
Michael, will the Hardys ever build the Omega and Hardy Show library on YouTube?
It's funny. I've been talking with someone who wanted to do like an Omega DVD, like maybe a documentary series, whatever. Which it's a guy who works at WRAL Channel 5 in Raleigh. And
Chris Lee, I imagine.
Yeah, Chris Lee. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
He's got another guy who's done that. And they've done a couple of documentaries. They did a documentary about the Dorton Arena that actually won an award. And just it's
probably my old coworker in Orlando, Pat Welter, who is his coworker. That's funny.
So it's funny because we have talked to him about doing that, and we had some ideas and stuff, but it's just I've been so busy this year. It's crazy. Just like a nonstop go. You're talking about Jeff being beat up in November, like October and the beginning of November, like we were so busy during that time. It was crazy. But yeah, man, I would like to at some point. I would like to get everything on digital before it's too late or before it's gone. So that is something that I'm working on, and I want to do at some point.
Well, the good news is, no matter how banged up you may actually be, you never got to stop banging with Blue Chew, Matt Hardy,
Bang
because
all night long, baby. Just bang
you
on, bang
are
on, bang on, bang.
you
Just
are
put on
indeed
bangers all night long.
you are indeed putting on 5-star bangers from the comfort of your own living room, should you choose to, because you already know what time it is. It's time to level up, and Blue Chew just dropped something crazy. I'm talking next level championship belt gold plated energy. Blue Chew Gold is the newest innovation from the #1 chewable ED brand. This ain't your grandpa's little blue pill. This is the 4-in-1 beast that's setting the gold standard for performance. We're talking 2 ingredients for blood flow to keep that rocket pumping all night long. It's mixed with apomorphine and oxytocin to turn up the arousal and all that connection in your brain and in your body. Blue Chew Gold dissolves under your tongue, and it works in a little as 15 minutes. That means you can get it on quicker and stay in the game longer. It's elevation without hesitation. This is peak passion and peak performance in a single tablet. And Matt, the rumor and innuendo is that even Dave Meltzer's giving your bangers 5 stars.
Oh, there you have it. Those bangers, as the kids say, they were hard. You know what I mean?
Oh, I certainly do, and it helps you in your pursuit of gold. The expedition of gold never ends with Blue Chew Gold.
No doubt, man. It is a rock solid theory. You take a Blue Chew Gold, you are going to be ready to put out a banger that everyone's going to love.
A banger that everyone's going to remember for ages and ages. It might even be better than Rock Hogan. Who's to say? It could be.
Who's to say?
What is a 5-star banger? Find out at the Hardy compound, because it's a pretty easy answer you'll find. We got a special deal for you guys here. Get 10% off your first month of Blue Chew Gold with code HARDY, HARDY. That's promo code HARDY. Just visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the extreme life of Matt Hardy. Oh, they write themselves sometimes, man. They really, truly do. Oh boy. Okay, let's keep going here because we got so many that I want to get into. Aaron loves wrestling. Matt, would you please clear the air for those who think WWE is using TNA to take down AEW?
It's funny. I saw this one. I like this guy. Aaron kind of supports everything. He's very much like doesn't hate on any promotion. He's kind of like very supportive of all wrestling promotions. So thank you for that, Aaron. I greatly appreciate that attitude. I think after there was a couple shots fired back and forth with AEW and WWE, I do think they got to the point where it's just like, I don't know. There is TNA. Like if we even do a little agreement with TNA, blah, 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 then that gives AEW something else they can worry about as opposed to worrying about us. I mean, I think it was just happened just because of AEW existing. And I think not saying that Tony Khan started, but, there were shots fired back, and I think it was probably ultimately a response. And it just, in some ways, it's good for competition. It's kind of reminiscent of the Monday Night Wars in some ways. So it's going to be real interesting. And my job, even when I kind of delve into these topics a little bit, I'm trying to get people just talking about TNA. Once again, I'm trying to get people talking about TNA just so they'll check out the new show, the TNA Impact on AMC.
That's Thursday Night Impact, brother. Get that lexicon right.
Thursday Night Impact, brother.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, Ray J's World asking, could the TNA and WWE partnership last until TNA gets 95 to 100% international TV coverage?
I mean, I think right now it's going to last for a while. Like everybody's extremely happy with it. I know the people who are working with Carlos are extremely working with Carlos, and there's some new things on the horizon. Actually, just learned about some new things today that are going to be very interesting. Around WrestleMania season. So Jeff and I we're always hovering around Vegas as it is too. So I'm sure we'll see people out there, and who knows, maybe we'll even see you. At at a WWE event. Who knows?
A bigger show.
Who knows?
Who's to say? That's interesting. Little tease there. Bryant, do you think a wrestling company can be built around a great tag team, or does a company need to be built around a single star?
I mean, I think a company can be built around a multitude of people. I think back in the day, the working formula was build a big single star, and that's kind of what Vince succeeded at in the beginning, obviously, right? With Hogan, and you had the Rock and Wrestling era, and it was massive. And Hogan was the nucleus of everything. And he would kind of try to move in top guys to be in that spot. Eventually Shawn kind of carried the weight for a while. You had Bret do it for a little bit, Stone Cold. But I always think too, like you always have to factor in how much help, even if there's a Stone Cold as the top guy, when they're pushing him as the champion. You have DX there that's high. You have Undertaker, which is just such a constant in WWE. I think with TNA, like sure, Jeff and I we are probably without sounding like a dick, but sounding like a dick, like we are the most recognizable people. We probably have the most star power.
Well, I'd argue TNA is built around you guys. I would.
I mean, okay. So I think that's a great start, but I mean, there are other guys that we can help to try and elevate the whole while. And in some ways with us, it's not even about being in a match with these guys and like having them beat us. I mean, sometimes it's just working with these people, being side by side, teaming with these people, treating these people on the same level and status as we are. You can help elevate people as well. And I feel like, we've done a real great job with Leon. And I love how Leon has grown. And Leon is someone who actually gets it because he's 21 physically, but like mentally, he gets wrestling like he's in his 30s.
It stems from an interesting conversation that I saw on the discourse earlier this week, which was, can there be a world where the tag team championship in a promotion is viewed at the same level of prestige as the singles world title? Like they are tag world titles and you have the singles world title. So why is one more valuable than the other? It's like a very philosophical question that was going around. And I did think it was interesting because I think if you have two really big stars as your tag team champions, and if these are world titles, you could, in theory, make an argument that could be at the top of the card.
I mean, you could. And once again, it's all in how it's presented. I think people got very used to the Vince McMahon formula. He was going to build around his world champion. That's why, whenever business was down and he wasn't happy with his world champion, that he wasn't selling out all the tickets, like other people didn't get priority. They would try and move other guys into that spot. Like, who can we get into the spot to be our champion, to sell the most tickets? Who can we get to do this? We came along at a great time. And, once we started on TV in 1998, we came along at the perfect time because, you had the main event scene was rocking. There was Shawn Michaels, there was Stone Cold, you had Taker that was there, you had, Triple H that was starting to build his way back up. There were a lot of The Rock, you had a lot of people that were big stars. So like when the main event scene was so strong and so popular like that, Vince was like, okay, well, these guys have it covered because I have all these guys selling tickets right now. Business is very hot. It's a good time with the Attitude Era. Let me work on some tag teams. Let's see what we can make happen with these tag teams. Let me work on some of the secondary titles, the IC titles. And you saw other guys getting pushes and being involved in storylines more. There has been times where you look back in WWE when the champion wasn't selling out everything, and like people weren't flocking to just who this champion was, and like things underneath did not get paid anywhere near as much attention to. And I think that's Vince's formula. And does it work? I guess in theory, it worked for him for a pretty long time. But I also think too, if you prioritize World Tag Team Championship and a tag team that is very popular, that is very good, as like your main act, I think you could get it over if you really trained and educated your people to think that. Same thing goes for a women's champion. If the women's champion are taken more serious and you put them in a position to succeed where they're looked at like, oh, wow, they have the same sort of equity and importance as the men's champion. I mean, you have to do that to kind of make it work. And I do think WWE has done a much better job with doing that in recent years.
It does feel weird that when WWE had the big 3 tag teams, you guys, the Dudleys and Edge and Christian, in hindsight, certainly feels like one of those TLC matches could have headlined a pay-per-view, doesn't it?
No doubt. It certainly
And
could have.
maybe if Vince realized the lightning that he had at the time, maybe he would have been more inclined to do it. But I don't think he realized the full potential that he had with it, probably until, again, my opinion, TLC 1, I'd say. And TLC 2, it was on WrestleMania, so it wasn't going to main event WrestleMania, right? Like, that just wasn't going to happen. So I think had he been able to hold off on TLC 2, and I'm not saying he should have, but had he been able to, there's no reason TLC 2 couldn't have headlined Backlash in another parallel universe, you know? Like, I think it very well could have.
100%, yeah. And I think that's great. I think if you create more diversity on your card, I'm always big where I say, like, I think pro wrestling should be a variety show, a little bit something for everyone. I love having a tag team main event. You know, I love having the women as the main event at some point, especially if you have enough equity in people where you can do that with them. Because I think the different, the structure looking the same every single time doesn't do a ton for me. I mean, and I think about people too that also like don't necessarily give a shit about wrestling. They just like it about characters, which is more casual fans, you know, which I know a lot of people out there don't like hearing that, but those people do exist. And I mean, that's what we're going to be gunning for. But I think the more different the show looks, and even if there is some variety and different types of matches and settings, you know, maybe there's this great wrestling match that happens for 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Then maybe there's this great ladder match, and then you have something else, and there's a women's, and then you have an amazing tag match, which is a banger, as the kids say. You know, I just think a little bit of something for everyone is great. And I think it helps a show if you do mix it up, and it's not just the world title is the last match. This is the be all end all every single time. If you do have a world tag team title match as the main event, if you do have a world's women's title as the main event, I think that's a positive. I think it's good. And it gives variety to the product.
These stunt sequences are like nothing I've ever got to do before.
There's a scene that takes place at a car wash, fighting with water around you. So all these like spin, what are those called? I don't even know. Those.
There's just a massive amount of fighting. This is the most in-your-face, visceral film I've ever been a part of.
Larry Jester, was there ever someone you wanted to work an angle with who was in the same company at the same time as you, but it never occurred?
Thinking about this very hard. You know, I mean, I may have said this, and I guess we did kind of work an angle with it, but like we hoped, and it would have been us, obviously elevating ourselves. Whenever I told you the first thing I pitched version 1 from, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, there was a time where I thought myself, Jeff, Edge, and Christian could have had a pretty amazing program with DX if they would have went for that, and we wouldn't have had to have won, and it would have still elevated us, but that didn't end up happening. And I was saying, like, our group is the version 1 of how wrestlers are going to be going forward. Like, we're the new breed. Like, things are a little different. It's a little more flashy, a little more exciting. That is something I would have liked to have done. There was one point where we were in tights, and they had us pledging for DX over and over, and they were going to do an angle and pull the trigger. But this is when we're starting to have really good matches, and Vince wanted to do something with us. But I know that got shut down eventually too.
What about singles?
Maybe that. Singles is.
I feel like you and Cena could have had a program.
Yeah, you know, there was actually talk. If I hadn't have gotten hurt after my thing with Jeff, whenever I broke my hand, and I also had to have a surgery because my abdominal wall ripped, and I was hurt, and I was obviously going to be out for a while. There was a point where Vince had mentioned that maybe I worked with John Cena after I did the heel run with Jeff because he liked a lot of the stuff that I was doing at that time. And then Jeff, his injury, he had that restless leg syndrome at this time. I was out for a while. And then by the time I came back, he knew Jeff was going to leave at the end of his deal because he was going to take some time off. And he ended up bringing me back and they turned me babyface again. But there was talk, if I had been healthy going through that program with Jeff and we got through it and I was a heel and had heat, that I could work with Cena, which I would have loved. And that would have been fun to do because I worked with him back in the day, you know, when he first started, but it would have been fun to work with him on a much bigger level.
How would you have approached that?
Interesting. I mean, if I was doing, I would have, once I went past Jeff and I kind of kept talking about being the black cloud over his head, I would obviously try to change my direction and kind of what my trajectory was for what I was doing. And I don't know, maybe I would have even leaned in to some of our history back in the day about how he's become such a big star. And I was one of the guys who helped work with him in the very beginning. And, you know, they trusted me to work with you and to team with you. And like, after all that I did for you, like you never tried to help me later on. You just said to hell with you, you know, maybe something like that. I felt like the being jealous of Jeff, maybe even being jealous of John, I could have came at it from a different angle or something because that routine worked pretty good at that time.
Yeah.
People still hate me to this day, you know, for that chair shot at Royal Rumble. They just said, man, I was so mad at you as a kid. I swore I would never, ever, I'd never, ever watch a match of yours again. I hated you so bad once you cost your brother the title. I get asked and people tell me about how mad they were at that moment more than anything else that I've done in my career.
People in your own house hate you, man, and you're hated everywhere. It's fine. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. I should have been the he hate me on the XFL.
Yeah, you should have been the he hate me. Yeah, you're right. That's more than fair. Speaking of around the house, you got the dog there. You got the pup there. I know you've been up late with the pup in the early hours of the morning as well. Courtney wants to know, what would you have named the dog if the kids didn't choose Delete?
I'll be honest. I was going to go with, because they're big FNAF fans.
Mm-hmm.
We had talked about Evie wanted to call the other dog Freddie, and I was just like, oh, maybe we just go with Freddie.
Freddie's a good dog name.
So I would have said Freddie, but then once it was all said and done, I said it's Evie's dog. You guys determine what you want to call it, because Evie's the one that fell in love with the other dog. So now it was for her, but now Rebecca is crazy in love with this dog. It's funny. So I would have probably went with Freddie. If not, maybe I would have went with another. Maybe I would went with Foxy. One of the other FNAF. I would have done something based off what the kids.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I don't know. It's weird. Delete is not a noun, so positioning it as a noun is very unnatural to the tongue. So I like. What do you just say like delete? Like come over here? Like what's the? Is that how it goes?
I just start going delete.
Oh, there you go. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. And it's not out of the ordinary of what you normally would do, so it's fine.
Right.
Katie, our girl Katie, saying, you've mentioned you're not a big sweet tooth guy, but do you have a favorite candy?
Oh my God. Not really, not a big candy person, but if I do stop, I usually get if I get candy, I would get like a Reese's peanut butter cup. You know, that'd be about that's about my limit.
That's
you know, if I really did, I've done this before, like if I'm tired at night and I've got a long drive and that's like, oh, I'll take some sugar and have an energy drink. I've had one of those, and that's in that scenario.
Who among us has not been there? That's fair.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, not sponsoring us, but maybe you could reach out to your boys, because I know you got the hookups. Your boy, Mr. Beast, has got some good candy. I like the Feastables. Feastables are pretty damn good. I won't lie.
My kids like the Feastables. They're big. Yeah.
I would legitimately put Feastables above Hershey. Like, I think Feastables are legitimately pretty solid candy. So, if you want to reach out to some people there, my friend, or advertise with hardy.com, that would be that would be a great way, because we would love to get them on board as a partner. At least I know I would. And we have some great partners here on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, like Marsmen, who jumped on as a partner at the end of 2025. And we are really, really happy that they joined us, because I believe this is a product that it can affect a lot of people. Because listen, I wish we learned about this when we were in school. I hit my 30s, man, and suddenly everything felt just a lot harder. Like, not just lifting things or anything. Like, you're keeping on your same diet that normally kept you lean, and all of a sudden you're soft around the middle. At least I can speak for myself when I say that. And I'm having those energy crashes in the middle of the afternoon where I need that candy and energy drink boost at the end of the day. And this is not supposed to happen when you're 34 years old, you know? So I started looking into this, and it all came down to, how can you get your testosterone up? Because low T is something that a lot of guys deal with, and doctors act like TRT is no big deal and just weekly shots rest of your life. Okay, sure. But then you dig deeper and you realize what you're actually signing up for. $3,000 a year to shut down your body's natural production forever. That's a really scary thing. And, you know, you're talking about fertility, like you've already had your kids, but like it might be something in the future for me. It might not be. I don't know. What if I still want kids? So as we turn the clock into the new year, I'm turning the clock back and making things easier on my body the natural way. And I'm taking Marsmen. It is a potent and natural testosterone stack that optimizes your body's ability to forge usable testosterone. And I think that it's better than TRT for that reason, because Marsmen gives you the same benefits of optimized testosterone, the energy, the strength, the focus, without actually shutting your body down. There's no synthetics, no needles, no actual dependency on the product as a result of it. And I think that's really, really important, because it's like hitting the reset button on your hormone factory instead of shutting it down. It's full of real ingredients that support healthy T levels, stamina, and recovery. And I feel like I finally found something that gives me the benefits without all the scary long-term stuff. And Matt, I'm sure that's something you've encountered over the years too.
Yeah, I mean, I've been taking testosterone stacks for the last 14, 15 years, no doubt. And I've got to tell you, Marsmen is one of the best I've ever taken. It does. It makes me feel energetic. It makes me feel young, vibrant. And it is one of the best test products I have ever used. And I'm very happy to be using it. And I'm very proud that they're sponsoring us, because I'm glad that I'm able to talk about something that I actually take, that I actually like, that I'm actually seeing very good results from.
Yeah, man, it's a nice little capsule too. Just 150 capsules, 30-day supplies. And we want to help you with this as well, because that's what we can do here. You see, if you're watching via the Matt Hardy Brand YouTube, all the information there below. But I want to help you because I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling better. And, you know, it's like a marathon, right? It's not a sprint when it comes to this stuff. That's correct. It's something that takes time as your body tries to settle in. So for a limited time, our listeners get 50% off for life, plus free shipping and 3 free gifts at mengotomars.com. It's a perfect way to kick off 2026 strong. That's mengotomars.com. 50% off and 3 free gifts when you check out. After you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy sent you, and go support Marsmen should you get an opportunity to do so. Whew. All right, man. We got so many great questions from the Die Hardies. So again, thank you to everyone who has asked these. We got a few more to get to here. Retro Wrestling Reckoning. If given the opportunity to have 100% creative freedom, how would you have booked the program between you and Bray?
If I would have had complete creative freedom, I would have been okay with like the laughing that we did that first time where we went back and forth, because that was both kind of staples of our characters. But Vince, he loved it so much and entertained him so much. He wanted us to do that shit every single time. And it was overkill, but because I would have liked to have kept things different and fresh. And like Broken Matt was always saying new words or new terms or whatever. And I think Bray was like that too. I feel like we would have started whenever we had that first match. I feel like we have a match in the ring. It would have been different. The first match that we had against one another was at the old school Raw. I don't know if you remember that. And I just think I would have done it differently. I would have put more time in it. I would have made it seem more important, especially
You guys had like 4.5 minutes.
yeah, it was super short. Anyway, we did that. And I would put a little bit of a different twist on it, where it was like a more serious match, and maybe even a little more violent, like two people that seem like they go way back because of how we would say with our souls or our essences, they were connected back in the day. And even tell a little backstory, like how are these people actually connected? Because Bray was the one who brought Broken Matt Hardy back in the first match I had with him when I was kind of lost, and Jeff was just away because he'd gotten hurt. And then I started doing Delete in the corner. So obviously there was some sort of kindred connection between the two of us. So I would have played off that some. I would have had the next match we had, which I ended up winning. I would have made it some sort of like gimmick match in the ring. And then I would have eventually built to the Ultimate Deletion, which I did. And I had I was going to do some of the more serious, cool high spots that have been done in one of those matches. And I thought this match was deserving of it. But Vince ixnayed all that stuff once he heard what we were going to be doing, and he wanted stuff. He said, no, I wanted like do the Benny Hill show thing where Bray came and I was hiding behind all of the different graves Jeff had in his graveyard. And a couple other things. He said, like, I really want this to be over the top campy. We have to beat that. And that was like Vince's command. He wanted Bray, once he went into the Lake of Reincarnation, to come out like a false finish from the Friday the 13th movie with a fish in his mouth and back down, where it was just very comical. I think we could have done it where it could have been a little more serious. It could have had very funny, lighthearted moments in it. I think that was part of the attraction of the Broken Universe in many ways. But then following that, Bray had this whole idea pitch where he was going to come to my house. He didn't have a family. He was going to become part of House Hardy. The kids were going to boss him around, and he was going to have to earn his way in. And I think there's so much cool stuff we could have done there. But we ended up winning the tag team championships. And then he would just put us on TV every week. He said, oh, you guys are stars, though. I need the star power. But we would have 4-minute matches, like 3.5, 4-minute matches against, FTR or
The B team.
The B team. What was it? Titus Worldwide.
Titus Worldwide, of course.
But those matches, those 3 or 4-minute matches, they weren't doing anything for either one of us. Like we wanted to do remote vignettes and have that, and then whenever we had a match, we seemed like attractions. Like, oh, if these guys are wrestling, it's got to be something special, and put our presence on TV, doing things in remote locations, being entertaining and creepy and fun. But it is what it is. And Vince did it his way. And we kept saying that, like, sure, we're beating these people. It's not doing anything for them, but it's also not doing anything for us.
Would the long game have been to stay together until Jeff got healthy and then integrated him into it?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, even when I was leaving, like, Vince knew that we wanted to do that. And, he even teased that and said, oh, I have this idea about you guys all three being a unit and, doing this, and maybe you have an alter identity that can kind of go with his Fiend, something real serious, and you have something funny like Broken Matt, and when he has the Firefly Funhouse. But I could just tell with how Vince was so adamant about me being a producer or coach, whatever, that he was going to get me into that role. He was going to get me into that role regardless. He would have done that for couple months, and then I would have been in that role. So, it is what it is. But yes, that would have been the game plan to wait until Jeff came back and all three of us be together.
Kind of crazy Jeff never got to work with Bray, huh?
No, yeah, he hates it. That never happened.
Yeah. Was he all about the Fiend?
Oh, yeah, he loved it. He loved the Fiend. He loved everything Bray did. He loved every aspect of his character and how he took in different directions. Jeff is a big fan of his art, just Bray had so much, his expression was art in so many ways.
Ron, in terms of singles matches, who do you feel elevated you to another level? And then who do you feel you elevated?
Well, that's a great question.
Strictly singles matches.
Yep. Strictly singles matches, no doubt. I honestly feel like I think Rey Mysterio helped elevate me as a singles
I
guy.
agree. I agree.
Because I think Ray was very established in his WCW days, and then he came to WWE and he looked like a big star. And we had that deal with the cruiserweight title going into WrestleMania, biggest show of the year, and defeating him. I think that did a lot for me, and that's when like I was super hot at that time, you know. And then we came through, we did the rematch, and Vince even said that, you know. Just getting to work with Undertaker when I was Matt Hardy version 1, that elevated me as well.
Mhm.
You know, there was a couple wins in there. That definitely helped me. As far as singles things, people that I have elevated.
MVP's got to be up there, right? Like,
Yeah, I would say MVP would definitely be in that conversation. I would say Drew in the very beginning, Drew McIntyre, when he was brand new. I think whenever I worked with EC3 in TNA and we went back and forth a little bit, I think it was elevating for him because we had a good story that was there. Like, you know, the TV was very weak and it wasn't great TV, but the actual story and the work we were doing together was really, really good.
yeah, I think I would say Ray and MVP are probably the two answers that would come to my mind when it comes to you, because MVP came in with a really big push, but I feel like he came more into his own after he worked with you. Like, he felt more well-rounded as a character after he worked with you.
I think he found his comfort zone when we're working
Yeah,
about it.
I would agree with that for sure. Okay, let's go to Anne. Top 3 worst mid-match injuries that you've suffered.
Top 3 worst mid-match injuries.
Could be bloodiest, could be hardest, pardon me, could be hardest to recover from.
The number one would be versus Sammy at
Of course.
Jacksonville. That would be the first one. The next one would probably, what's that?
The broken hand.
Maybe that was kind of the end of the match. That's probably not the worst.
Okay.
But whenever I was in a triple threat, it was myself, MVP, and Kofi. Whenever my abdominal wall tore, and I finished that match, which was brutal. And then the other thing that like didn't seem that bad, but ended up being real bad, and it has even affected me later in life. Is when it was a match where the teams were switched up as during the McMahon-Helmsley era, and they had me and Edge wrestle Jeff and Christian.
I remember that.
There was a time where Christian just does a regular, it's like a tackle drop down, and it ends up being a drop kick, and it was just a freak thing. The way his toe comes down directly into like my eye socket, and it broke my cheek, my nose, and my orbital bone. And I remember it hurt real bad, and it was bleeding. It bled out of my eye some, and my vision was real bad in it. And I finished the match, went through, did all that. And then they ended up saying, okay, well, Doc, how soon do you think he can come back to work? I said, oh, well, it's a broken nose. You know, you can still work with that. And you really can't do anything about the cheek and the orbital bone. It is what it is. Unless you have surgery, it'll heal itself. And then I ended up wrestling 2 weeks later and doing that. And still, like, there's times where I'll do it just to strengthen my eye whenever I do cardio in the morning. I'm sure there's been some people like, oh my God, why does he have an eye patch on? Because my one eye doesn't, when I look down, sometimes my downward depth perception isn't like my vision is pretty good, but like my downward depth perception isn't magnificent. Whenever we were playing the softball game and I was throwing the ball back and forth, I wore the and that was just like, if I just had one eye, it was much easier because like just my eye was focusing. And that's why I do cardio in the morning typically at home, and I wear the eye patch just to strengthen the one eye, just so it gets better. And it has gotten better over time, but just that damage to whenever my orbital bone was broken, all those ligaments and tendons around it got weak, and then just like if I'm real tired, my eye will almost get tired as well. So I don't know if there's really surgery that they can do. They said like we might can do something that might work, it might not. It probably needed to be fixed then. But that was a pretty brutal injury.
Take 2 weeks off and retire, bro.
Yeah,
That's what you should have done. Josh Henney, your boy, do you have any 1 or 2 things that you would like to see in TNA that will retain viewers after the AMC debut?
I mean, I just think first and foremost, I think we have to make people happy on this first show. But I also think there needs to be cliffhangers where people are like, I want to know what happens. I want to know what happens. Like what is going to be the next step in this whole process? Like what are they going to do to these guys? Or, now that these guys have beat these guys who are bad guys, like what is the bad guy's next move? I just think having cliffhangers like week to week and having continuity, which is very hard to do when you're doing 52 live shows a year or 52 regular shows a year. Not all are going to be live. I think the storytelling aspect of having cliffhangers that people give a shit about, that they want to know what's going to happen next.
That is going to be a very big part of TNA. I mean, retainment, and it's hard for anyone to do, right? It is not easy to retain viewers for any show. So how you guys ultimately figure out that path, I'm interested in seeing. And again, we'll be able to talk more about the AMC debut next week because everything will be done. As you can hear, my voice is starting to quit on me here, so I want to get to one more.
All right.
Thomas Justice, in every version of Matt Hardy you've ever portrayed, Big Money Matt, Broken Matt, V1, the real life Matt, if you guys all have to sit down and decide which one truly best represents your legacy, which version do you think would walk away from the table as the winner, and which one would flip it over in frustration?
I think what would probably represent me the best would be Matt Hardy version 1, just because I feel like that is when I was put into an environment where I got to truly be me. Like Jeff is the epitome of what the Hardy Boys represent, right? He's this daredevil, this adrenaline junkie, all these words that would use to describe us. And I can do some of that stuff, but I can't do it as much as him. My strength are when I am this character that is over the top, almost half-assed delusional, really into themselves, egotistical, whatever. I feel like that's almost where I shine. And that same thing worked for the Broken Matt character, because that's why that worked so much, because I committed to the bit and I did it like that. I feel like Big Money Matt, just because of who he is and how he acts, he'd be the one that would flip over the table first and foremost, regardless of what happens. But I feel like Matt Hardy version 1, especially as a babyface, just being a smug, smart ass who would like come in with a good little punchline on
a one-liner.
Yeah, a good one-liner, a good little punchline to really dig someone deep. I feel like it would be that persona.
Oh, don't sleep on it, man. There's a lot of reality to Big Money Matt too. Don't you forget that. If you want to link up with Big Money Matt, advertisewithhardy.com is the place to do it. Get your business out in front of thousands of listeners and viewers every single week. That's advertisewithhardy.com. Great episode, great questions, everyone. Keep them coming whenever we do these, because the more unique they are, the more creative they are, the better the chance they are of being answered on these. So make sure you get creative with them, because we love it. And make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, extremehardy.com. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube page, Matt Hardy Brand. Like and comment on these videos. It is the best way to ensure that the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy gets out there. The YouTube algorithm changed dramatically a couple of weeks ago, and a lot of creators
loves the comments, right? It loves the comments.
We love the comments. A lot of the creators on YouTube have been really hurt by this algorithm change, to where their video views are getting cut in half or even more. So support your favorite creators, not just us, but especially us, please, because we love bringing you this content every single week if you can. Anything else you want to throw out to the diehardies, my friend?
No, it's whenever you're hearing this, if it's on a Friday, it's going to be Genesis on Saturday, and it should be pretty heated. It should be a heated battle. So make sure to tune in. Genesis, TNA Genesis on pay-per-view or on TNA Plus.
Sure will be great. Shout out Josh. Shout out Anna. Good to see you, Anna.
Anna Ray.
Anna Ray out there watching live via WrestlingAccordingToAlba.com. The words have been spoken. We'll see you next time right here on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy.
Delete!